We don't count human casualties. We count what targets have we hit or not hit.
Air Chief Marshal BS Dhanoa says that Air Force does not count human casualties but only targets, leaves it to the government to share the information on casualties in the Balakot airstrike. BJP Chief Amit Shah claims over 250 terrorists were killed in the Balakot airstrike. The Congress and other opposition parties question his claim and seek evidence. Pakistani media outlets claim that reports of Jaish-e-Mohammed Chief Masood Azhar's death are fake. Reports also suggest that Pakistan may withdraw opposition at the United Nations to designate him a global terrorist. President Ram Nath Kovind gives his nod to the ordinance which enables voluntary use of Aadhaar. The unique ID will now be a valid option as a proof for obtaining mobile SIM cards and opening bank accounts.
So the idea is to enter into this business and provide the head start.
Also on the show, in a cnbc TV 18 exclusive, the Jindal brothers talk about their outlook for the group, say that electric vehicles are the way forward and there is scope for better integration and value addition in the steel sector. Well, those are the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. You're watching cnbc TV 18 and this is Reporter's Diary. Now straight to our top story, where the Indian Air Force is not in a position to clarify on the number of casualties in the Balakot airstrike. That statement will be made by the government. That is the words coming in from the Chief of Air Staff of the IAF, Air Chief Marshal BS Dhanoa. Now, in his first media briefing after the IAF carried out what it called non-military preemptive strikes on terror camps across the LOC, the Air Chief Marshal said, and I quote, "We don't count human casualties, we count what targets we have hit or not hit." End of quote. Now, talking about the success of the airstrikes, the IAF chief said, and I quote again, "If we plan to hit the target, we hit the target. If we have dropped bombs in the jungle, there is no need for Pakistan to respond." End of quote.
The target has been clearly amplified by the Foreign Secretary in his statement.
Yeah.
And of course, if he planned to hit the target, we hit the target. Otherwise, why would he have responded?
ANI, please.
If he had dropped bombs in the jungle, there's no need for him to respond. No, I mean, Air Force is not in a position to clarify that how many people were inside it. That we don't count human casualties. We count what targets have we hit or not hit.
Time's up in there, please.
The bomb damage assessment that is done post a mission calculates the number of the target you've been hit or you've not been able to hit. We can't count how many people have died. That depends on how many people were there. MiG-21 Bison is capable. It has been upgraded. It is not the old MiG-21 BIS. It's got a better weapon system. It's got better radars, better air-to-air missiles, radar warning receivers, Shah flares, whatever it takes to make it, from 3rd generation to 3.5 generation or so. So it is an upgraded aircraft, and we fight with all the aircraft in our inventory. Whether he flies again or no depends on his medical fitness. That's why post ejection he has undergone a medical check. Thereafter, if required, whatever treatment is required will be given to him. Once he gets his medical fitness, and then only will he get into a fighter cockpit.
All right, so while the Indian Air Force has left it to the government to share the information on the number of casualties during the Balakot airstrike, BJP Chief Amit Shah has claimed that over 250 terrorists were killed in that operation. Now, this makes him the first BJP leader to have put a number on record. However, the opposition has questioned his claims and has demanded proof of the damage inflicted on terror camps in the airstrike. Opposition parties have also accused the BJP of politicizing India-Pakistan tensions.
मोदी सरकारे बरोबर 13 દિવસે એર સ્ટ્રાઇક કરી 250 થી વધારે આતંકવાદીઓને એક પણ કેઝ્યુઅલિટી વગર.
Prime Minister Modi accused Congress and other opposition parties of politicizing airstrikes. You, on the contrary, have held Prime Minister guilty of politicizing terror. Why do you say so?
Because the Prime Minister is talking about all this, not us. He is the one who is saying that, look, what a great victory. He's saying, Amit Shah is saying 250 people have been killed. We are not saying it. So why is he saying it? because he knows that the 2019 election is around the corner, right? And the defense services have not given the numbers. So how does Mr. Amit Shah know? Where did he get this number from? Who told him? He's only a president of a party. He's not in government. And S.S. Ahluwalia, on the other hand, says that, look, the whole purpose of this exercise was only to send a message to Pakistan that if you do such a thing in India, or your terrorists attack us in this fashion and we lose 40 CRPF Jawans, then we have the ability not only to cross the border, but also teach you a lesson. So who is telling the truth? And if they are putting out these numbers, we have the right to ask questions.
300 people had died. What is the source of that information? I can tell you on record, ministers, one of the senior ministers planted this fake news. But can you imagine a senior minister like this putting out these numbers saying 250, 300 dead? This kind of political theatre is bad for this country. The Indian Army, the Indian Navy, the Indian Air Force, these belong to India, to the people of India.
President Ramnath Kovind has given his assent to an ordinance that allows the voluntary use of Aadhaar as an ID proof for obtaining mobile SIM cards and for opening bank accounts. The ordinance was necessitated because Rajya Sabha failed to approve the bill which had been passed by the Lok Sabha earlier. Now, this amendment to the bill ensures that the mentioned services cannot be denied to a consumer on not offering Aadhaar, and that Aadhaar is just a valid but not necessary ID proof. Now, the amendment also concentrated on strengthening individual privacy. Stiff penalties have been mandated and storing biometric information has been banned for the vendors. Now, electric vehicles are the way forward, and there is scope for better integration and value addition in the steel sector. That's the word coming in from Sajjan Jindal, chairman of JSW Group. In an exclusive conversation with CNBC TV 18's Anshu Sharma, the Jindal brothers speak about the group's future plans. Listen in to that conversation.
So, are you planning to diversify your business from steel, get into some new businesses?
Actually, I would say that steel itself is so diverse. There are so many hundreds of different things that one can produce steel. You know, there's so many ways of doing backward integration, forward integration. Say even like car making, we just feel that we make steel for the cars, and now we can just making like say electric vehicles. So everything is related. Everything that's like in a way forward integration. Value addition. So steel is such a wide subject, and then to be really good in something, it's best not to diversify too much, to be really strong in your own field rather than divert your energies into too many places.
But Mr. Sajjan Jindal, you are entering into electric vehicle segment, and reports suggest that you're buying GM's operation here in India. You're already setting up all your plant. FAME 2 has been approved by cabinet. So take us through, what are you planning?
No, I think electric vehicle is the future. It's very clear that globally the fossil fuel is towards its final leg, and everybody is looking at newer age mobility, newer age telecommunications. Everything is changing very fast. The world around us is changing very fast. So the idea is to enter into this business and provide the head start in this business. And I hope that we are successful in this activity.
Any commitment on FAME 2, considering that every policy bit is now there in place?
No, that's the government's very positive move on FAME 2, but every country has actually already done that. If you look at China, they have already far ahead of India on electric vehicles and the electric mobility rather. And I'm sure India has to move very quickly onto this, because we are dependent on 100% or 80% of our oil is imported. So we have to look at electric mobility very quickly.
When are you planning to close down on the deal with General Motors here in India?
I don't want to sound very specific about it, because I really don't know how long it takes. Whether we do close that deal, even that is not sure, because it's still under negotiations and we are still discussing.
Okay. Do you have any plans to enter into any other business other than steel? Because Abhyuday has joined Jindal Stainless. Is there any new idea that he's bringing up?
Well, he is bringing some new ideas, but right now I think in stainless steel itself there's so much scope. In fact, our Odisha plant, Jindal Stainless, has a inbuilt, I mean the infrastructure is for 3.6 million ton stainless steel. We have hardly reached 1 million. So we will first expand that, because with very little investment we can take it to 3.2 to 3.6 million tons. But we are still under little bit CDR and other formalities which we have to get out of it. And so first we would like to expand Odisha, to 3.2 million tons, and then we will think of other things.
Okay. Now let me ask you, globally, steel as in trade, countries are closing down on imports. What are your views on it? Because recently there have been reports that Indian companies are looking for MIP because there's a lot of dumping. What is your view on the global trade that is happening with regards to steel specifically?
I think steel is, globally is become a very sensitive industry from a point of view of localization. If you look at United States, they have they have put a safeguard duty. Europe has put safeguard duty. So many other countries have done the same thing. Turkey has done. Brazil has done. So there is a big move that if we don't protect our industry, because steel happens to be a very heavy industry in any country, and therefore is very critical, and is also from a security point of view a very important industry. So therefore every country is now trying to protect their home steel industry. So that's why there is a move in the government to look at whether the imports which were going, or exports which were going to US and Europe, will they get diverted to India? So therefore should the Indian industry be protected? So that's a thought. We don't know what's the outcome of it.
More or less third generation is in all of your businesses now. So what are your expectations, and do you expect that the core value will remain there?
Well, I'm pretty sure of that. Our next generation is very, very capable, very, very focused. So I'm really proud of that my next generation, Abhyuday, Parth and Venkatesh, they're all fantastic boys. So, future belongs to them. Thank you.
Any generation gap that is there between the second and the third generation?
Of course, I think generational gap is always there. Differences are always there. Like we used to have.
How do you deal with it?
we used to have differences with our father, so our kids have differences with us. We deal with them. We deal with them in a mature manner. It's fun also. It's interesting also at times, but it's good. And kids nowadays are very smart. So we also get to learn a lot of things from them.
How will the second and third generation move forward in the next 5 years in terms of your businesses?
So see, as far as businesses, they're all friends with each other. They keep consulting each other. But businesses are all at arm's length. So there aren't any, there's no interdependence between any of the businesses. So they are cousins, and they are brothers, and they are friends, and they enjoy with each other, and they work with each other.
Right, you can catch that entire conversation with the Jindal brothers through the week right here on CNBC TV 18. As of the 1st of March, DBS, or Development Bank of Singapore, is a locally incorporated bank in India. This after RBI granted it the license to operate as a wholly owned subsidiary. Now, the Singapore-based lender has become the second such foreign bank to follow this model after State Bank of Mauritius. Remember, the wholly owned subsidiary route allows foreign lenders to be treated as a local bank, removing certain restrictions that they face, such as those on opening new branches. To discuss DBS's India strategy, I am now joined by Shurajit Shom, the CEO, DBS Bank India. Mr. Shom, thank you very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18. First up, how bullish are you on your growth in India? I mean, we know it is a huge market. The banking sector penetration remains low. We keep hearing that from all the lenders here. But you're coming in at a time when the financial sector is also going through a very tough phase. Tell us what your strategy is going to be.
Thank you very much. So I think your question actually has part of the answer. We think it's an opportune time for us. As you know, over the last 3-4 years, we've been waiting to convert into a wholly owned subsidiary, which we completed, as you rightly said, on 1st of March, which allows us to now branch freely. But we think that the opportunity today is quite unique for three reasons. One, consumer preferences in the financial services sector is changing quite rapidly because of how much digitization that is going through, as well as the capability of the banks. The banks themselves are changing the way they offer services to their consumers. And we think as DBS, we've made some significant strides that's also recognized by the external world, as in the last 3 years, we've been rated as the best digital bank in the world. So we think that we can bring that capability, which we introduced into India 2.5 years back through the launch of DigiBank. We have over 2.5 million customers already. And with the conversion, we can now add a strong physical network expansion, which strengthens our, if you will, physical plus digital strategy, which was our primary route to growing a business in India.
So, in India, your lending currently is highly skewed towards corporate loans, which I understand is almost, 70% of the book. And it is quite inconsistent with your profile in other parts of the world. Now that you have this license, how will the ratio change?
So you're absolutely right. This is our 25th year in India. And we built for the last, I would say, 15, 20 years of our journey, an essentially large and mid-corporate business with the limited presence that we had. We had only 12 branches in 12 cities, and the number you said is correct. We have a skew in favor of large corporates. Our goal over the next 3 years to take this to roughly around a 40-30-30, 40% large and medium corporates, 30% SMEs, and 30% in the consumer sector.
All right, since you said you want to devote 40 to 30% to retail and SME, that lending in that segment is highly correlated with the GDP cycles. Right now, India does remain one of the fastest growing economies, but the latest GDP figures have been a tad disappointing. It's at a 5-year low, actually. So what growth are you initially targeting given the current macro scenarios in India?
So it's interesting you make that comment, because as we speak to our SME customers, we see them being actually quite bullish, because we do believe that parts of the manufacturing sector definitely are showing signs of revival. And we think there are opportunities in the manufacturing sector. We also see opportunities in the services sector. Again, we do not have to, because the market is large, we do not have to always depend on the overall market expansion for us to build a profitable share, because we think that there has also been a lot of dislocation because of the capital shortages in some of the banks, the traditional banks, as well as what has happened over the last 3-4 months on the NBFC sector. So we think there is enough space for a player like us to build a robust underwriting which is based on data as well as technology, and which can be a profitable business given where we are in terms of our relative size to the overall market.
All right, so what will be your expansion strategy? You currently have 12 branches. Where do you see that expanding to, say, by the end of the current year and then thereafter?
Over the next 12 months, we will go to 25 cities and with more than 100 touch points. In fact, in the month of March, we are adding 9 new cities and 5 new centers, which are unbanked rural centers. So we will more than double our network in the month of March. And by the end of the year, we expect to be over 100 touch points. I say touch points because about a year and a half back, RBI liberalized the way a locally incorporated bank could expand. So we'll use all the formats, that's branch, digital kiosks, as well as manned ATMs, to build the relevant footprint depending on where our customers are clustered.
All right, Mr. Shom, thank you very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Reporter's Diary. Before we go, Elon Musk's SpaceX inched closer to human space flight after its unmanned rocket Dragon had a successful launch. The capsule is now docked with the International Space Station. NBC News' Kathy Park filed this report.
250 miles above Earth, the first commercial spacecraft designed to carry humans hitting its mark.
We have confirmation of a soft capture of the Dragon spacecraft to the International Space Station.
Then, another dramatic moment. Astronauts on the ISS make their way into the unmanned vessel.
There he is, David inside of Dragon. Human beings inside the Dragon spacecraft.
Floating inside, they met a mannequin passenger sitting in the corner, giving everyone back home a look at this spacecraft of the future.
Welcome to the Crew Dragon.
It all followed a spectacular launch from the Kennedy Space Center just 27 hours before.
A live view of the Falcon 9 rocket as it ascends through the atmosphere.
There's a lot riding on this 6-day demo before the Dragon capsule heads home Friday. If all goes well, the next test will launch 2 astronauts as early as July.
We may push a button or two to demonstrate that we have the capability to intervene if we need to, but the vehicle is pretty much going to do the work autonomously, just like it did today.
Boeing isn't far behind with its own unmanned launch planned for next month, as a new space race sets off.
Right now,
Kathy Park, NBC News, New York.